Hey guys, this is Jay Calder with Jay Unboxing here, giving you a personal prediction for Errol Spence versus Yordenis Ugas. And as always, this is just my take, of course. We'd love to hear yours down in the comments section below. Any predictions, any bets, all that good stuff. Would love to hear it all. A little bit of fight info here. We have Spence versus Ugas, which is taking place at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Having this fight here is one way to get champions in that stadium. It's going to be airing live on pay-per-view, of course, for Spence's IBF and WBC welterweight titles and Ugas's WBA welterweight titles in this unification clash. And this is a very, very good fight. Perhaps the biggest fight of 2022 thus far. Outside of Terrence Crawford's WBO title being left out and all lonely and sad, of course, this is for all the marbles at 147 pounds, and it features a very interesting clash of styles. More or less, Spence has dealt with whatever style has been in front of him, but this is probably the likeliest to be tough and kind of slick, a style maybe he hasn't quite faced just yet in Ugas, who's really, coming off the biggest win of his career against Manny Pacquiao, so he's definitely riding high. And this may be probably the best fight you can make at welterweight outside of the obvious fight that we all kind of want to see. So it's a very, very good clash for that, with two fighters that are, pretty much entering the best points in their career. So you're really kind of wanting to see how well they can do. So let's have this one broken down. Starting with Spence. So for Spence to win, I think he needs to jab to the body. Now, this is going to do a couple of things for the American. For starters, it means he's going to jab to the body, which is a shot that he likes to do anyway. But it also means that it's going to take a little bit of the wind out of his opponent's sails, going to slow him down a little bit, and it'll also crouch him over or drop his guard. And either of those two things helps line up those shots to the head over time, either because the guard obviously is dropped or because you're putting him in that same range where you were throwing anyway. Spence likes to throw to the body. He's going to throw to the body. And I think it all starts with that jab, just like it would upstairs for that matter. And I think once he starts getting that going, then the whole toolbox becomes sort of at his disposal there, because now he kind of has Ugas where he wants him, in that defensive shell, in that defensive posture, kind of wondering what's happening next, and that's what Spence can exploit. I would also say get Ugas up against the ropes. Yordenis is not a particularly fast-footed fighter, in my opinion. He has decent movement and good fundamentals, but he's not fleet-footed by any means. Obviously you want to highlight that in him if you're his opponent. One way to do that is either corner him or get him up against those ropes. When it makes it hard for him to get out of harm's way or try to turn you or angle you because he's pressed up against the ropes and now has only 50% of the real estate to work with, you are in a much better position if you're Spence, especially to punish him, which is what Spence tries to do with most of his opponents anyway, kind of corner him, chase, and more specifically cut off the ring. And because he does have, in my opinion, the more solid footwork, I would say, at this point in their careers, I think if he can corner Ugas, get him up against those ropes, he can start laying some punishment on him and have some good success on the night. And finally, for Spence, I would say walk him into that left hook. Spence has a really good left hook, especially for a southpaw, and especially when you think of southpaws, you don't necessarily assume that the left hook is going to be a shot that they're always going to throw so well. It's the power hand. It has to round the corner a little bit more. However, he has a really good tendency of throwing it when he's at closer range, more on the inside, and that punch has a lot better chance of developing. And I think he can walk Ugas into that by kind of jabbing to the body, kind of getting him crouched over, which is already lining him up for it anyway, and then stepping into that shot, or allowing Ugas to try and back away, or rather step away from the ropes and walk right into that shot, which I think he should be trying to pressure him anyway. So this is the kind of moment where you can take advantage of what he will do if you press him. You press him into the ropes, he's going to want to come out of that posture, then you can walk him into that shot that I think can give him some great success and will potentially lead to victory for Spence if he's able to land it consistently. Now, for Ugas to win, I think he needs to work the double jab. One way you can tame someone that has maybe a little more speed than you, maybe a little more punching power than you, and that's certainly Spence in this case, is just double jab him. Throws off his rhythm, throws off his timing. It helps kind of really set your own pace and your clock for the fight, so to speak. That's what I think Ugas needs to start with. As fundamental as that sound, as simple, as obvious as it might sound, it's obvious for a reason. That's going to be successful for him if he can just pump out that double jab. Of course, throw some sneaky singles in there as well, really offset your own, rhythm in that way as well and kind of keep him guessing. But with that double jab, what it does is it kind of makes you guess a little bit wrong sometimes. You're trying to come in right after that jab. Well, here's another one right there for you. And if Ugas can kind of keep Spence guessing in that way, I think it gives him a good chance to set up some of his other work later in the fight. And I would also say land combinations to the body. Nobody likes getting hit to the body, but especially if you're facing someone that is either stronger, faster, or hits harder than you want to make sure that you're taxing them there. Whether or not they can take it all that well or not, you just want to try to take some of the wind out of their sails. And I think Ugas is in that position where he needs to start taxing him to the body, especially if he ends up against the ropes or if he's trying to hit those corners and trying to get out of those kind of tougher positions. Landing to the body, either a hook or just even a straight shot, something that's going to be able to buy you just that second of time to pivot and get out of the way, does a couple things. Number one, it attacks the body, of course, but number two, it also gets you out of harm's way. So you want to make sure you're attacking the body, slowing them down a little bit, and then giving yourself a chance to catch up in the fight. And if you're Ugas, I would also say change your angles. That's one thing where, again, while he doesn't have great footwork, it's a little bit slow at times, he does have a good understanding of where his positioning in the ring is, and he's going to need so against Spence. If he's caught too close or if he's caught up against the ropes and is unaware of his surroundings in that way, Spence is going to make him pay. Spence is effectively in the prime of his physical life at this point, or pretty much right in the middle of it, or at the very least has just entered it. So you don't want to put yourself in positions where you're allowing him to benefit from that by just lining up his shots for him. You want to use those angles, turn them, get that foot on the outside and just get up out of there, twist out of there. Do not allow for him to corner you, put you up against those ropes and start punishing you. You do that and it spells the end of this fight. Now, while Ugas is an attractive option in a lot of ways from just how skilled he is, to me the pick is Spence, and it's a rather comfortable one, in my personal opinion. Of course, I said he's now jinxing the American, and he has no chance of winning. Ugas is very skilled. He can box well and has okay pop, is defensively sharp, and has solid shot selection. I like that. Where he falls short, unfortunately, is that Spence has about as much as that, all of that in all those areas, and a little bit more on top of that. I think the slower feet of Ugas will mean Spence can put him up against those ropes and he can start to punish him over time, especially as he's jabbing him to the body and just not allowing him to get out of harm's way too much. He's really going to start to punish him in those middle rounds especially. Spence will look to kind of beat up Ugas and possibly try and stop him. I can see him potentially doing that in those middle frames, though I do feel that Ugas is probably skilled enough to get out of there and kind of survive the last few rounds, which I think he will, allowing the American to win a lopsided unanimous decision over 12 frames after a bit of a back and forth start perhaps in those first couple of rounds. Spence via unanimous decision. Now, the betting odds for this fight are rather wide, considering it is a unification class. Of course, you have Spence as a wide favorite at a minus 400, with Ugas coming in at a plus 270. Honestly, if you pick a little bit of an upset here in Ugas and you want to lay a little money down on that bet, it's not bad. You can almost triple up your money, of course. That being said, couple things to ask here. Three, as a matter of fact. Are they going to give Ugas the benefit of the doubt if it is a decision in Texas? Do you think that they want, whoever they happen to be in your mind, want Spence to lose this fight to begin with? And do you think it's very likely that he can beat Spence, even if it's just a straight-up fair fight, considering how good Spence is? You have a lot of questions about that make that kind of bet a little bit riskier when you really think about it, even if he happens to, in your mind, pull off an upset via decision or something thereabouts. That being said, it's not the worst option in the world. A straight-up bet on Spence is effectively a waste of time, in my opinion. Here, yes, I think he's a pretty comfortable win here, but at 4-1, it's just not something that's my particular taste. But in any event, there you are. And heading into the weekend, my prediction record is 12-3-0 with 3 exact. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, predictions, bets, so on and so forth. Who do you have in this one? Biggest fight of the year thus far. And do you think, honestly, that the winner will end up taking on Terrence Crawford in a total unification bout anytime this year? We'd love to hear your thoughts on that down in the comments section below. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at jcalderon_JOB, and you can email me at jagonboxing@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you there. Be sure to check out jonboxing.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, all that kind of good stuff. And, of course, later this week, be sure to check out Fighter Grades. We'll also have a couple more predictions coming your way as well. And as always, until next time.